Coming up on today's show, a Steelers news and rumors mailbag where I answer all of your questions. So if you want to get featured on a future mailbag, one, you have to be subscribed. So just hit that red sub button to stay in the know with all things Steelers. Also, use hashtag Steelers in the comments so that we can answer your questions in the future. And without further ado, let's kick off today's show. Welcome in to Pittsburgh Steelers Talk by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Sr. A fascinating offseason awaits for the Pittsburgh Steelers, so I'm really excited to answer all of your questions on this mailbag, so let's get right to it. First question coming in from Patrick Starr, SpongeBob SquarePants. Great show, by the way, growing up. Should we sign Amari Cooper if the Cowboys cut him or even trade him if the asking price is low? So for Amari Cooper, he's one of the top 5 highest paid wide receivers in the National Football League. Obviously, if he gets cut by the Dallas Cowboys, that does change. A lot of people are down on Amari because he didn't have the greatest year last year, but in a bad year, 865 receiving yards on 68 catches, 8 touchdowns coming off of injury. He's really been the go-to guy for Dak Prescott for a few seasons now, and I still think he has elite football left in him. In 5 of his last 7 years, he's compiled at least 1,000 yards receiving. This is really a salary cap move if the Dallas Cowboys do decide to part ways with Amari Cooper. There's also reports out there that they're looking to sign Michael Gallup to a long-term contract extension, so they're using that money, if they do cut Amari Cooper, to then defer that money to Michael Gallup, who is coming off that torn ACL, but is a homegrown talent and is also a very good wide receiver. So I'd much rather sign him than trade for him. If you trade for Amari Cooper, you have to take on that base salary, which is really high, $20 million in guaranteed money this year. If he gets cut, you can sign him for the price that you want to pay Amari Cooper. Make sure you subscribe to Pittsburgh Steelers Talk by Chat Sports, because whether it's me, Harrison Graham, Tom Downey, Mitchell Wren, somebody else here at Chat Sports, we have you covered with the best Pittsburgh Steelers news and rumors. And if they do sign or trade for Amari Cooper, we'll be the first to let you know. The road to 10K subs is on, but first, let's get to 9,000 subs. Just hit that red sub button. Next question in this mailbag coming in from Eric. Why is everyone so obsessed about drafting or trading for a quarterback? Using the draft and free agency is the way to fix the offensive line and defensive back, and waiting for next year when a much better quarterback class is coming out. So, Eric, maybe you should start doing these shows, because the 2023 quarterback class is much better than the 2022 class, which we talked about earlier this week. If you missed that video, go back and watch it. It's up on the channel right now. Bryce Young, by far and away, going to be the number 1 consensus quarterback in the 2023 class. C.J. Stroud is right behind him. They're once again going to be going neck and neck for the Heisman Trophy. Jaren Hall, pretty solid quarterback out of BYU. Grayson McCall out of Coastal Carolina. Yeah, Coastal Carolina is a pretty good football team, coming in as right now the 4th overall quarterback prospect. And can Spencer Rattler transfer from Oklahoma to South Carolina, where he has some familiarity there with the coaching staff, and can he kind of find that magic that he had as a high school recruit when he was considered to be one of the best quarterback prospects in the high school ranks? Now, you take a look at the offensive line, right tackle, another area of need for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's a pretty good free agency class, I can't lie. Morgan Moses, good player for the New York Jets. Bobby Massey of the Denver Broncos. Riley Reif of Cincinnati. Cornelius Lucas of the Washington Commanders, pretty solid player. So too is Brandon Shell. Top offensive guards, if you're looking there instead of right tackle, or maybe or right tackle. Brandon Scherf, excellent player for Washington. Laken Tomlinson has played, I think, 80-plus consecutive games for the San Francisco 49ers ever since they traded with the Detroit Lions for Tomlinson. The left side of that O-line with Tomlinson and Trent Williams, one of the best in the NFL. Tomlinson has helped anchor it. Connor Williams of the Cowboys, good player. Andrew Norwell of the Jaguars might be more affordable. Same can be said for James Daniels. Those are the free agent offensive linemen who really could be appealing for Pittsburgh. How about the offensive line prospects? My favorite one of them all, Tyler Lindenbaum out of Iowa, has this nasty streak in him. Like college wrestlers and high school wrestlers who also play football, they will stop at nothing to just take your soul right out of your heart. Like, that's Tyler Linderbaum right there. He's a nasty dude. Daniel Falele, good player from Minnesota. Trevor Penning is also pretty solid. Northern Iowa. Bernard Raymond out of Central Michigan and Darian Kennard. Those are really the top offensive line prospects in the class of 2022. And then you look at cornerbacks, because that's another area of need that San Francisco has, with Joe Hayden's future somewhat uncertain. The top echelon of cornerbacks who are set to hit the open market are very, very good. J.C. Jackson could realistically get around $100 million in total. Mr. INT, Stephon Gilmore, 2019 Defensive Player of the Year, coming off an injury-plagued season in 2020, was good in 2021 and made a Pro Bowl after getting traded to the Carolina Panthers. Carlton Davis, I really like him because he might be less expensive than J.C. Jackson, but does a lot of the same things. Casey Hayward, a little bit older, and DJ Reed of the Seattle Seahawks can get the job done, but doesn't really compare to J.C. Jackson, Stephon Gilmore, or Carlton Davis. As is the theme, we're covering it all here. Free agency targets as well as defensive back prospects in April's NFL draft, coming at you April 28th to the 30th in Las Vegas. Roger McCreary out of Auburn, very good player. Kaiir Elam out of Florida, starting to rise up some draft boards. Andrew Booth Jr., good player out of Clemson, who could be available when the Pittsburgh Steelers do make their selection. Jalen Petre, one of my favorite potential second-round DBs, can play little safety as well. Almost reminds me in that way with the versatility of a Tyrann Mathieu. And then Kyler Gordon out of Washington. All of these players could be available for Pittsburgh. You know who won't? Derek Stingley, Kyle Hamilton, and Sauce Gardner. All of them, they realistically could be top 10, top 15 picks. So you tell me. I want to hear from you. Wave those terrible towels, get into the comment section, and treat the comment section like a Sports Talk Radio call-in line, because that's basically what the comment section is here at Chat Sports. Name a player you want the Steelers to sign in free agency. Drop me a name in the comment section right now. Let's get to this question from Chris. Will the Steelers trade up in the draft to get their future quarterback? Should they trade or cut Devin Bush? Yeah, a lot of people are down on Devin Bush. I think he can kind of reclaim that magic that we saw back a couple of years ago, and I understand the frustrations with him. Still in 2021, in a bad year, 70 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumble forced. He's a pretty solid player. Now, could he be a trade candidate? I think so. If the Steelers look to trade a player like that, he certainly does have value to other teams across the NFL who are kind of looking for a rangy and athletic sideline-to-sideline linebacker who has shown and proven that he can play at a very high level. Other half of that question. Steelers going to move up to take a quarterback. They might have to if they want a Malik Willis or a Kenny Pickett. I'm not sure Matt Corral's going to go top 20, but he might, because there are quarterback-starved teams in the NFL. I think Carson Strong, Sam Howell, for me, they're not first-round guys. I think you bump them to the second round, maybe even beyond. A guy who a lot of people aren't talking about is Desmond Ridder out of Cincinnati. Has a lot of the same intangibles that a Dak Prescott has. Won a lot of games at the college level, doesn't do anything at an elite level in terms of arm strength or athleticism, but the dude wins. He's mature. He's been through some things in his life, and I really, really like his character. Now, if you're like me, you like betting on sports, especially NFL football. I have some betting withdrawal, not being able to lay down some cheddar on some NFL games. If you want to be like me, lay down some money on either NFL games in the future, divisional winners, conference championship winners, NFL Combine prop bets, or odds to be QB1, you can do so. Get hooked up with our sportsbook partner, BetUS. All you got to do, plug in that link down below, chatsports.com/bet. Enter the promo code Steelers125 for a 125% deposit bonus. What does that mean, Chase? You put in $100 with that link in that promo code, you get $125 back. Kenny Pickett, the odds-on leader to be the first quarterback taken in the draft, followed by Malik Willis, Sam Howell, Matt Corral, and my boy, Desmond Ridder at 33-1 odds. Ronnie Will the Steelers sign J.C. Jackson or Stephon Gilmore? I think the more realistic option is Stephon Gilmore because I think J.C. Jackson is going to get the bag, folks, and I think he is going to get paid. Stephon Gilmore could get paid, but I'm thinking more in the neighborhood of 10 to 15 mil per year, where J.C. Jackson could be around 20. And Pittsburgh as an organization, always fiscally responsible, but they also do a good job of identifying talent through the draft at defensive back so that they don't have to pay massive money to DBs. That trade a couple years ago for Minkah Fitzpatrick was great. Like, they find diamonds in the rough or players whose value is a little bit low, and then they end up increasing that value. But both J.C. Jackson and Stephon Gilmore, you look at the numbers, both are very, very good. J.C. Jackson with the pick numbers, he's younger. That's why he's going to get more money on the open market. Who would you rather sign among those two? Don't worry about money here. We're playing Monopoly, right? J for J.C. Jackson, SG for Stephon Gilmore. Let me know which corner you would rather see in the black and yellow. Black and yellow, black and yellow. Shout out Wiz Khalifa and get those votes in the comment section. Dan, elite picture, by the way. Do you think the Steelers should go after Mitch Trubisky? He seems to have potential and was just sitting behind Josh Allen. He has potential. I just worry about him being a one-read quarterback who really struggles to go through his progressions all throughout the football field and really read and scan the field from sideline to sideline and do some of the mature, necessary things that are required for a franchise quarterback. Now, you look at his numbers. Like, first couple of years, he was solid, best year in 2018, but from that point on, it all went downhill. Now, I think his confidence got rattled a little bit. The coaching staff didn't help him out. I also think there's a problem with him just not being that prototypical quarterback like Ben Roethlisberger, like Tom Brady, like some of the greats, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. There was a reason why he wasn't a starter last year and why he was a backup. Big Mac, really appreciate you for, one, subscribing to the channel, supporting everything we do, and always contributing to our mailbags. By the way, is that Manny Machado in the pick? Big Mac, Gold Glove snatcher, at third base, the hot corner, can play a little shortstop like Manny Machado. Anyway, he has this question. Do you think the Steelers' defense will be back to being a top 3 defense in the league next year? I mean, the talent is certainly there. Really, I always say this. Like, if you have a good defensive line, everything behind that defensive line falls into order, right? Because nowadays in the NFL, pass-happy league, all of the rules are catered to offenses and quarterbacks. You can't hit them. You can't hit wide receivers. And because of that, we've seen crazy passing and receiving numbers. Here's the deal, though. If you get consistent pressure on the quarterback and those opposing quarterbacks don't have time to throw, it doesn't matter what's going on in the back end. And look, you know, the Steelers' back end, I think it's a little bit better than what people make it out to be. But that defensive line is great, led by T.J. Watt. 22.5 sacks. He's only going to continue to put up those numbers. So I do think the Steelers defense could really bounce back. I honestly think the offense put them in a lot of precarious spots this past year, which was certainly not advantageous. Make sure you smash that like button. Why? Like the video. If you think the Steelers will have a top defense in 2022, I think the Steelers defense could rebound a little bit. So you see that thumbs up icon below? Hit that if you're confident in the Steelers defense led by T.J. Watt. And while you're down there, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Pittsburgh Steelers Talk, the fastest growing Steelers channel on YouTube. We're hitting you with news, hitting you with rumors, quarterback evaluations, draft prospect evaluations, free agency, but also mailbags. Who else is doing mailbags with Steeler Nation? Nobody. So if you want to be featured on a future Steelers mailbag right here on Pittsburgh Steelers Talk by Chat Sports, use the hashtag Steelers in the comment section and let us know if you have a question. If you do, get those comments and those questions in down below.